so great to be here. And let's hear it for my friend, Mayor Bottoms from Atlanta. I know we were just chatting before how they beat the Dodgers, but it's okay, Mayor. They deserved it. But Mayor, you are a leader in our party. You're a fighter committed to equality, justice, and opportunity for all. And thank you so much for all that you do for all of us. And Maria, it was just great to meet you before. The work that you and your team are doing to build, to educate, and engage with coalitions, it's just so critical. But you know that. Keep doing what you're doing. It's so important. Your work, it's a great example of why our party and our country will continue to move forward. So thank you. And I know there's so many people out there, I've been told. So if I could see you all, I know I'd see a lot of familiar faces and some new friends, but thank you so much for taking the time to join us. It's really important, but not more important than what I have to say, which is thank you. Just a simple thank you on behalf of President Biden, my wife, Vice President Harris, and Democrats all across the country. During the Biden-Harris campaign, you were there for us. You worked so hard, donating money, but donating your time, volunteering all over this country, knocking on doors, talking to neighbors, putting up signs, social media. You were doing it all. You brought your friends and your families on board. You helped them understand how much was at stake in that election. It really was, as the president says, a battle for the soul of our nation. And because of your work, President Biden and Vice President Harris were elected. We retook the Senate and we held on to the House. We did it together. But now we've got to do it all over again. The fight is still on because the stakes on November 2nd and then again in 2022 are just too high. This is a fight to save democracy. It's just that simple. And the entire world is watching. They're watching again. We did it during the Biden-Harris campaign, and now we've got to do it again. This is simply a stark choice about whether we want to continue to move forward or fall backwards, and we can't. This is a stark choice about whether we want to compete or be complacent. To me, and I think to you, the answer is clear. We need to move forward. I've traveled across the country as second gentleman to nearly 30 states so far. I've met with so many families. I've heard their stories. I've seen firsthand how this administration's actions are improving their lives in real and tangible ways. I've seen firsthand how the American Rescue Plan saved this country at the beginning of this administration, and not one Republican voted for that. Remember that. The American Rescue Plan and the PPP and all the things that we did to put checks in pockets really helped this country through the pandemic. And again, I saw it firsthand. And talk about the vaccination program, putting shots in arms. Look, think about where we were January 20th and think about where we are now. It's remarkable. And with what we have going with the Build Back Better agenda and infrastructure and all the things we've been talking about, it's going to continue to move us forward and keep small businesses, restaurants, and shops open, rebuild our bridges, rebuild our infrastructure just the way we need to do it. Our working families and our economy need these plans so we can continue on this path forward. We cannot go backwards. The reality is that these plans are going to fundamentally change the trajectory of America for generations to come. People like to talk about numbers, about how much these plans cost, but we need to focus on what's in the plans, the real and tangible ways that they improve the lives of Americans all across this country. And like I've said, what we've done so far has been remarkable, and I've seen it with my own eyes all across this country. We also need to keep fighting for the values of our Democratic Party and the values really of our country. We need to fight for equity, inclusion, and justice. We stand for the rule of law and our Constitution. We stand for LGBTQ rights. We stand for reproductive freedom. We can't take these rights for granted. And we stand for voting rights. We are for more people voting, making it easier, not harder to vote. The right to vote is sacred, and it's now being assaulted in states around this country, and it has to stop, and it will stop. We're seeing voter suppression, and even worse, potential election subversion. That is wrong, and it has to stop, and it will stop. And this is why the White House is working hard to make sure that we pass voting rights legislation in Congress. And that's why this past summer, my wife, the vice president, announced a $25 million expansion of the DNC's I Will Vote initiative. This investment will be a game changer. It's helping us build our largest voter protection team ever. It's about putting boots on the ground in battleground states and making sure voters have what they need to make their vote count. As part of the DNC's game plan for 2022, they are also making historic investments in registering communities of color to vote, in organizing all across the country, and in strengthening our state parties. We can't do any of this without you. We need your help. This is an inflection moment. We are at an all hands on deck moment in our country. And the first test is going on right now next door in Virginia. We are all working hard to elect Terry McAuliffe and Democrats up and down the ticket in Virginia. That race may be in one state, but the outcome will have an impact across this country and all over the world. The world is watching. And that's why the president, the vice president, the first lady, President Obama, Stacey Abrams, Mayor Bottoms, everybody, all hands on deck, have been out campaigning for Terry. I know we're going to do everything we can over these next few days to get this thing done. And I'm following this race closely since I live right next door right now. I'm seeing these commercials. If you live around here, you see them too. This guy with his fleece jacket and the slick ads, you know, he's trying to put himself out there like just some normal suburban dad. Don't be fooled. This is a lie. This is not who this person is. We cannot elect folks like him who believe in conspiracy theories. We cannot elect folks like him who don't want everyone to have a shot at a better life. We cannot elect folks who believe in the big lie and who don't tell the truth. And that's who this guy is. So maybe it's my background as a lawyer. I believe to deal in facts and science and reality, the rule of law, our Constitution, and moving ourselves forward. And Terry, well, he's already done this job before, and he did it very well. He brought in jobs and businesses. He stands on the right side of every single issue that matters to us. And his work ethic is unbelievable, and he's getting ready to get back to work. So let's make sure he has a chance to do that. Continue to make those calls, send those texts, donate money so we can get this thing done. If we all do our part, we're going to win big in November in Virginia and also in New Jersey. And we're going to be ready to keep and even grow our majorities in Congress in 2022. And we need to do this because the more Democrats we elect, the more votes we'll have for the Biden-Harris agenda, the more support we'll have for transformational progress, and the more power we'll have to make sure we can truly build back better. I could go on, but I want to stop here and just say again how truly thankful I am that you are all here. Thank you for everything you do to support our country, and thank you for all for your commitment to the Democratic Party.
Thank you so much for your words. I just feel so inspired about everything that you're doing, what the White House is doing, what the DNC is doing and will be doing in coming weeks. I just want to echo what you said in your remarks where, you know, we're investing a lot in coalitions. We're out here in the States, we're meeting with partners, listening, hearing directly from organizers and activists on the ground about what they've been doing to reach their communities. And so I'm very excited about the work that the Democratic Party will be doing in coming weeks. But I'll stop there because there are a lot of folks across the country, a lot of supporters who want to hear directly from you. And they have a couple of questions for you. So I'm going to ask the first question from Erin in New Haven, Connecticut. Now, this year, you spent a lot of time traveling the country, sharing the importance of the COVID-19 vaccine with communities all over the US. Now, can you share any stories from your work talking to folks about getting vaccinated?
Thanks for that, Maria. As I mentioned, we've been to 30 some odd states and the 9 or so months as second gentleman. In a lot of those states, we talked about vaccinations. In fact, the very first event I did as second gentleman was at a pueblo in New Mexico, Kiwa Pueblo. And it was really inspiring. They were at almost 100% way back when, and really did it to save lives, but also to preserve the culture. Literally elders were dying off of COVID, and the way to preserve their culture was to make sure everyone got vaccinated. And I've been to churches, barber shops, schools, military bases, you name it, all working together to make sure everyone gets vaccinated. So I'm going to keep at this. We've done very well, but we're not quite there yet. And I'm going to continue to go around the country talking about vaccinations until we get through this horrible pandemic. And again, it's science, it's facts. There's a lot of disinformation out there. So we spend a lot of time debunking misinformation, and we'll continue to do that. These vaccinations are safe, they're effective, they're free, they're readily available. And we just want to continue to get vaccinated so we can truly get back to the life that we had before, where everything is safely open. Get back to work, get back to school, get back to church, temple, get back to sporting events in a way that we had before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of folks, at least for myself, I'm excited to go back to a concert. So, right. So really love the encouragement. Definitely.
A lot of good ones coming up next year. So
yeah. So excited. All right. The second question is from Justin in El Paso, Texas. Now, as the first ever second gentleman of the United States, what has the transition into your new role been like? Has anything surprised you?
Justin, that's a big question. Everything has surprised me. It's nothing prepares you for this. I actually asked our First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, for some advice. And she basically said, even though she had this role, there's really nothing that prepares you for it until you're in it. And it can be overwhelming at times. It's a lot of being in public a lot of the times, but it's really rewarding. And to be able to be the first second gentleman and better not be the last, it's humbling. It really is. And there's things that I never thought I'd be doing, such as talking to lots of folks out here like this and supporting the first woman vice president, Kamala Harris, and being there for her and being there for the administration. It's really, like I said, it's humbling. I'm going to continue to just do everything I can to do my best for my wife, for my country, for the administration, and but take it in. I think I want to just make sure I enjoy it and experience it and appreciate some of the amazing things that I'm being able to do, which I'll continue to do.
Yeah, super excited about everything that you're doing. Now, the third question is from Austin in Greensboro, North Carolina. Now, the vice president, the president, and the first lady, and you are all such positive leaders. What keeps you motivated and optimistic about the future?
Well, thanks for that question. I think one of the reasons this is all working so well is that we all get along so well. We see the world the same way, and you've got in president and vice president, two lifelong dedicated public servants who've really given their life to public service. And you've got the first lady who's been a lifelong educator and also supporting her husband. And I came into it a little differently. I came in as the mayor said, a practicing lawyer in Hollywood. And so I have a little different perspective. So for me to be able to come in and do this, I said, I'm doing it for love and country. It's really, I really have no choice but to follow their lead and their passion, and it's infectious. So when I'm around them, it's inspiring to me. I try to learn from them and do as great a job as I can for the administration and for them personally.
Amazing. Now here's the last question for you. Jasenia from Jasenia in Reno, Nevada. Now, have you been watching the Major League Baseball playoffs from home? If so, can you tell us about what it's like to watch a Dodgers-Giants game with the vice president?
So I'm a little heartbroken right now, as I told the mayor before we got on camera, that the Dodgers, my beloved Dodgers, lost to the Braves, but well played, Mayor. So it is my wife, the vice president, is a very, very, very rabid San Francisco Giants fan, and I'm a lifelong Dodger fan. So you can imagine the tension in the household during that 5-game series. And we actually were able to watch Game 5 together on Air Force 2, believe it or not. We were flying home from the West Coast, and the game was on, and we watched it together. We said about 3 words the entire time. Watched in rapt attention until the very end when she said, "What a bad call." It was a check swing, controversial call. Dodgers won, and let's just say it was a pretty quiet rest of the flight after that.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, those were all the questions. Supporters are very grateful and we're very eager to hear from you directly tonight. But in that case, is there anything that you want to say before you leave us here tonight? I know that there's so much at stake right now, but we'd love to give you this opportunity to give any closing remarks.
Thank you, Maria. So this has been great. Anytime I have an opportunity to talk to folks, I really appreciate it. So again, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be here and to speak with all of you today. But remember, this is not a time to sit on the sidelines. This is not a time to think everything's just going to be okay. It just like in 2020, we have to get off our seats and get out there and get on the field. We've got to get engaged in the upcoming elections in Virginia and New Jersey. Like I said, that's making calls, donating, sending texts, talking to your neighbors, all of the above. You've got to do it. And you can sign up right now. If you text "call shifts" to 43367. That's just all one word, CALLSHIFTS to 43367. We can do this. Again, not a time to be complacent. This is a time to do the work. It's a time to keep us moving forward, not backward. So thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.